दो लोग रहो, कौन कैमरा वाले, तुम देख रहे हो? So hello students, we have just seen the essay paper, and as you know, this is one of my most favorite segment in the civil services preparation. It gives me lot of sense of well-being when I teach essay, and the reason is essays are the type of essay which UPSC is asking is very closely connected to my core subject. You all know political science, and the foundation of political science is philosophy, and that is why I always say that any student opting for political science has an advantage, and in order to go through, or in order to pass this exam successfully with good marks, every student should have his own strategy, and the three papers which I always suggest one should focus on is essay paper, ethics paper, and your GS paper too. Now, out of all the three paper, you can see where the minimum efforts are required and the results, or you can say the output, can be very high in terms of the efforts and the marks ratio. How do I look at the entire exam? I look the entire exam as a personality exam. Every paper tests your personality, but if I say, you all know the interview test in UPSC is called as personality test. All papers are personality test, and philosophy paper, or I can say essay paper, is the most critical in the assessment of the personality. And we all should know what should be the personality of an administrator, which type of personality you should have. This is very much reflected in the type of questions which are being asked in essay. What we have seen that in the past few years, the nature of essays have changed. Initially, which type of essays were coming? More which were on the social issues, something which could have been considered as an extension of your general studies paper. But now the things have changed, and what we see that they are focusing on the philosophical essays. So philosophy means, in order to understand why these type of essays and how to develop the skill to answer this type of essay. So the type of essays, we can call it, they are philosophical in nature. And what is the relationship between the type of questions which are being asked and the overall scheme of UPSC examination for civil services? It is again during my class students that essay is not the test of information. Essay is the test of your knowledge, and it is not just the test of your knowledge, it is a test of your wisdom. So anyone who is trying to start a preparation of essay, they should know the difference between information. They should know the difference between information and knowledge, and then they should know the difference between knowledge and wisdom. And in administration, you know that how things are becoming more and more challenging. How do we deal with the adversity of our lives? How do we deal with the challenges? How do we deal with the challenges of public policy? What is our asset? Our mind is our asset. So, if UPSC has to test your personality, they have to test the quality of your mind, because ultimately the information that is being imparted, it has to be processed. So who is able to process the information in what manner, means for me the purpose of asking essay is to find out the quality of the mind. And again, an essay is also a test of your value system, what positions you take, the general issues, like there is an essay on social media, but to what depth you can think on this. And again, it is all about communication. In the human world, how do we deal with each other? Through the language. So, what is most important for any person to be successful is communication. Communication is important, and the level of communication, the depth. Examiner has asked you a question, and your ability to understand the question, and person should also have ability to read between the lines. So essay will test. Actually, essay is the real test. It tests you, and I always recommend be very, very organic. Students do mistake. They have lot of things in the back of their mind which always stop them from thinking as a leader. Fine. So civil services expect you to be a leader. Civil services expect you to have a practical wisdom. You should have ability to deconstruct and understand. With this thing in mind, you should be preparing. And in the past few years, what we have seen, that as the trend is shifting towards more and more objective questions, people's ability to write and their patience to write things is declining. And but writing is a very important part. And always remember, a person who can speak well, only that person can write well. And that is why you have to have a combination of an oral skill. If you want to learn how to write essay, you require thinking. This is what I emphasize in all of my class. Thinking. You should be an independent thinker. Second, ability to speak, because if I cannot speak properly, I will not be able to write. And a systematic thinking. You should give this impression to the examiner the depth of your thinking. Most of the questions are philosophical in nature. But do you understand what is philosophy and how do we do philosophy? Doing philosophy. What is philosophy? So, philosophy means true knowledge. So, true knowledge is about idea, concept, foundation. So, philosophical essays test the foundation of your knowledge. Now, I will deconstruct these questions and we will see that what would have been the intention and how a student should have framed the answers. Regarding essays, there is lot of confusion. How to write an essay? Should we make subheadings or not? So, I will say there are n number of ways. What is my purpose? My purpose is that I should be able to communicate that this is how I am interpreting, I got your point, and this is the way I will be thinking on that particular issue. Fine. So, I will take, let us say, section A. The first question is, forests precede civilizations and deserts follow them. Forests precedes civilization and deserts follow them. जंगल सभ्यताओं से पहले आते हैं और रेगिस्तान उनके बाद आते हैं। तो सबसे पहले हमें क्या करना चाहिए when we are in the examination hall? सबसे पहले हमको करना चाहिए रफ वर्क। स्टूडेंट्स को लगता है कि अगर हमने रफ वर्क किया या स्ट्रक्चरिंग में टाइम दिया तो हमारा पेपर छूट जाएगा, लेकिन यदि आपने स्टार्ट में टाइम दिया तो बाद में आपका टाइम कम लगेगा और बिना स्ट्रक्चरिंग के आप ऐसे नहीं लिख सकते हैं। स्टूडेंट्स में इस बात की क्लैरिटी नहीं है कि ऐसे क्या होता है, आर्टिकल लिखना क्या होता है, आंसर क्या लिखना होता है। तो ऐसे का मतलब है आप सिस्टमेटिक, हिंदी में क्या बोलते हैं, निबंध। निबंध का मतलब क्या है, एक सिस्टमेटिक ढंग से अपने आइडियाज को रिप्रेजेंट करना। ठीक है, तो स्टोरी कहाँ से स्टार्ट होती है? सबसे पहले आपको देखना चाहिए कि क्वेश्चन में क्या पूछा गया है, क्वेश्चन का एसेंस क्या है। पहली चीज है योर एबिलिटी टू रिकंस्ट्रक्ट द क्वेश्चन। तो कैसे क्वेश्चन रिकंस्ट्रक्ट करेंगे? फॉरेस्ट प्रीसीड्स सिविलाइजेशंस एंड डेजर्ट फॉलो देम। तो जहां तक मैं डीकंस्ट्रक्ट करूंगी, मैं ये डीकंस्ट्रक्ट करूंगी कि जो सिविलाइजेशंस हैं, यानी कि जो मॉडर्न सिविलाइजेशंस हैं, उनका क्या इम्पैक्ट रहा है। बिफोर द बिगिनिंग ऑफ द मॉडर्न सिविलाइजेशन, what we have seen that the earth's carrying capacity was not being destroyed, and what we have seen that the way and the rate at which we are consuming the resources were within the limit of nature's capability to replenish itself. But later on, what we have done, we have moved in the direction that the deserts have been converted in forests have been converted into deserts, and the students, those who were doing essay with me, they must be able to recollect that in the previous evening itself we have discussed this particular topic, because I knew that there will be a question on environment and सस्टेनेबल डेवलपमेंट। तो पहली चीज ये है कि आप ये दिखा पाए कि आपको पता है कि क्वेश्चन क्या है। तो क्वेश्चन ये है, फॉरेस्ट्स precedes civilizations and deserts follow them। यानी हमने जिसको सिविलाइजेशन माना और वेस्टर्न सिविलाइजेशन ने जिस तरीके से एक्सप्लॉयटेशन किया, उसका रिजल्ट रहा डेजर्टिफिकेशन। ठीक है, ये एक तरीके का क्या है, इसको आप गांधी के इस व्यू से जोड़ सकते हैं। और गांधी हैज गिवन द क्रिटिक ऑफ मॉडर्न सिविलाइजेशन, एंड व्हाट गांधी हैज सेड, गांधी हैज सेड दैट the path of development which we have followed in the past 100-200 years, especially the West has followed in the past 200 years, if rest of the world also does the same, then even 9 more earths will not be sufficient for that. Okay, so somewhere the question means, how should I start thinking about the question? So, forests precede civilizations and deserts follow them. So basically, first thing, there are two ways to start an answer or two ways to start thinking on it. You can go for inductive approach, fine, or you can go for deductive approach. तो अब इंडक्टिव और डिडक्टिव अप्रोच क्या होती है? या तो हम एसेस कुछ ऐसे इवेंट के एग्जाम्पल के साथ शुरू कर सकते हैं जिससे एग्जामिनर को ये पता चलता है कि पर्सन हैज अंडरस्टूड द कॉन्टेक्स्ट। अगर हम 2-4 ऐसे इवेंट्स की बात करें जिसमें, या 2-4 ऐसे इवेंट्स की बात करें, ट्रेजेडीज की बात करें जो इन्वायरमेंट से रिलेटेड हो, जो डेवलपमेंट से रिलेटेड हो, तो वो भी एक इम्प्रेशन बन सकता है। आप इसे एनेक्डोट के फॉर्म में लिखते हैं, आप इसे केस स्टडीज के फॉर्म में लिख सकते हैं, या फिर हम एक डिडक्टिव अप्रोच लेकर के ऐसे को ओपन कर सकते हैं और उसमें जो हम इशू है, इशू की अपनी समझ से हम लिख सकते हैं, या हम इंडक्टिव अप्रोच से लिख सकते हैं। जैसे ये पर्टिकुलर ऐसे है हमारे मॉडर्नाइजेशन, सिविलाइजेशन, उसका इम्पैक्ट, उसका डेजर्टिफिकेशन, तो हम कुछ रिसेंट ट्रेजेडीज की बात कर सकते हैं, जैसे वायनाड ट्रेजेडी की बात कर सकते हैं, हम फ्लड्स की बात कर सकते हैं, हम फॉरेस्ट फायर्स की बात कर सकते हैं, हम मेल्टिंग ऑफ आइस की बात कर सकते हैं, हम ग्लोबल वार्मिंग की बात कर सकते हैं। यानी कि हम सबसे पहले एक टोन सेट करेंगे कि आई अंडरस्टैंड द कॉन्टेक्स्ट। ठीक है, तो डिडक्टिव अप्रोच क्या होती है? फ्रॉम पर्टिकुलर टू जनरल। So writing certain examples, we will find the generalization. And what will be the generalization here? The generalization here is that the path of the developmental model which we have pursued since the beginning of modern civilization, that has not been sustainable, that has not added to the quality of life, rather it has made our life from bad to worse. Okay, so when I will generalize out of these events, I have reached to the point जिसके ऊपर मैं अपना essay, which the point on which I will be developing my essay. Okay, so now what we can say that right now around the world, what is the concern is climate change and environmental degradation, and this has happened to the extent that now it is said that there is a climate related emergency. Just to make people aware of the extent of the problem, and you can write something which shows that how important is this issue. You can talk about the summit of future, which is going to take the summit of future, which is a part of a UN General Assembly, out of which we will have a change in the developmental approach. We will go for assessment of SDGs, etc., and we will adopt the new targets. And before that, sustainable development goal, it realizes, it is based on this recognition that how important is this process. Okay, so now we have to understand, if environmental degradation is happening and the forests are getting replaced into the deserts, we should know why this is happening. What is the reason behind it? Fine. So the reason behind it, the mindless exploitation of nature. So if there is mindlessness, so what you require? Mindfulness. तो पहली चीज आपको ये बताना पड़ेगा कि आपके पर्सपेक्टिव से फॉरेस्ट टर्निंग इनटू डेजर्ट्स का रूट कॉज क्या है. ठीक है, तो रूट कॉज में हम, या कॉजेस, वाई मतलब कॉजेस, तो कुछ लोग एक सुपरफिशियल कॉज लिख सकते हैं. क्या कॉज है? हम चेंज कर रहे हैं, यानी कि एज पॉपुलेशन इज इंक्रीजिंग, वी नीड मोर प्लेस टू लिव, देन we need more industries to build, we need more resources. तो लोग एक सिंपल कॉजेस दे देंगे डिग्रेडेशन का, इंक्रीज इन पॉपुलेशन, इंक्रीज इन डिमांड फॉर रिसोर्सेस, लेकिन केवल इतना बताना फिलोसफिकल अंडरस्टैंडिंग नहीं है. You have to go beneath the surface level understanding and you have to enter into the foundational idea. जब आप फाउंडेशनल आइडिया को स्ट्राइक कर लेंगे तब पता चलेगा कि आपके पास है कॉन्सेप्ट, आपको आता है फिलॉसफी करना और आप पहुंच डेप्थ में. ठीक है, तो इन सब चीजों का रीजन क्या है? व्हाट इज द रीजन? द रीजन आप कह सकते हैं, अगर कोई सुपरफिशियल अंडरस्टैंडिंग है कि एज डिमांड इज इंक्रीजिंग सो वी आर गोइंग टू यूटिलाइज, द रेट ऑफ यूटिलाइजेशन is in proportion to that. But if you will think deeply, then what will you understand? Then you will understand that there is enough for need, but not enough for greed. Means the real problem is not actually the real demand. Fine. The real problem is the greed, the search for profit, the mindless consumption of the environment, inability to understand need, rather going for a culture where there is no limit to our
Hello.
wants. Fine. So, from your angle, you should know how
Hello.
to strike
Hello.
at the root. The root cause is the civilization, the modern civilization on which we have based, and that is why the question also includes civilization. Now, the civilization that is being referred here is what? The modern civilization. So, modern civilization starts with modernity. Modernity has brought not many good things, but not many bad things. Fine. Among ऑफ किया हुआ है, इन लोग को बुलाओ जरा. कॉमन टॉपिक क्या है? So sorry for the disruption, as we have come to know there was some sound problem. So we will edit the video and it will be loaded again. But now let us continue with this. Okay. So now we have come to the concept of civilization, because civilization is referred in this topic. Fine. To which civilization? It is a modern civilization. Okay. Now, when you talk about the modern civilization, what is the characteristic feature of modern civilization? You can talk with reference to Gandhi. Okay. Gandhi has prevented, it is not just Gandhi who has talked about modern civilization. There are many other people. You can talk about Rousseau. Now, political science students should write these scholars in a manner that it should not start appearing your optional answer. ठीक है, तो बहुत सारा कंटेंट है, because what we have seen, the destruction of environment, it is not just destruction of environment. We have also seen wars, we have seen weapons of mass destruction. This has led so many people to think and find out the root causes, and there are many people who went to the root cause to the modern civilization. If you talk about Rousseau, the famous personality of the French Revolution and the author of the famous book Social Contract, and who has written that man is born free but everywhere in chains. Here, what is the chain? The God has given us such a beautiful world, but we have destroyed it. What is this chain? This chain is our civilizational values. This is the chain. And which civilizational value? The civilizational value of excessive materialism, excessive individualism, mindless accumulation of profit, and to large extent the fundamental structure of the present civilization is capitalist structure. And capitalism is about accumulation of profit. Fine. So the scholars and the philosophers like Marx said that the capitalist culture, people go for worshipping money. It is called as fetishism of commodity. Fine. So that is why Gandhi also says there is enough for need but not enough for greed. What Rousseau is trying to explain, if the question is saying there were forests and now there are deserts, so this can be very well related with Rousseau, because what Rousseau has said, in the state of nature, the state was bliss. In the state of nature, it was the state of bliss. And what Rousseau says, the beginning of the civilization has destroyed that bliss. Fine. So beginning of civilization means the beginning of modernity. Beginning of modernity means beginning of capitalism. And what statement he says? He says that the thinking man is a depraved animal. It is because of the values of capitalism, the calculation of profit and loss, from a human who was sensitive, who was empathetic, not just towards the other human being, but towards the nature, has become a depraved animal, a mindless animal. And because we have become mindless, we are converting the forests into deserts without understanding that not only we are ignoring the rights of the coming generation, we are also digging the pits for us, because now things have, the impacts have started adversely impacting us. There is the biggest emergency everywhere, be it US, be it Turkey, be it India, be it Africa. Which part of the world is now protected from it? Okay, you can also talk about, like, if you know literature, you can talk about the scholars like Wordsworth and all, who talk about nature, who talk about the poems like Daffodils. You can talk about the people who used to say that it was a bliss to be young, or it was bliss that earlier, the state of nature, something like that. So you will start talking about the civilizational values, and I believe that for political science student this topic is just a cakewalk, because you study in your international relations, you study in your political theory, you study this in your Indian government and politics. Okay, so now comes the meaning of civilization. Fine. So after explaining the civilization, we should come to this idea that what exactly is the meaning of civilization, what is a true civilization. And the true civilization, if we want to understand, then obviously we have to go to the ancient Indian wisdom, because if you are looking for answers, there is no better place other than India to look into the ancient wisdom. Why? Because of this reason itself. Why are we looking to find answers to on this, on Indian civilization? Because India is recognized as what? Vishwaguru. And it's not that we call ourselves Vishwaguru, but the greatest of minds of the Western world, like Max Muller. Max Muller has written that nowhere else the mind, human mind has thought with such level of depth the way it has been taught in India. So Gandhi was trying to find out the meaning of true civilization, and Gandhi held that true civilization is not about satisfaction of wants. The true civilization is about the minimization of needs. A true civilization is a civilization which makes us a better human being rather than converts us into a depraved animal. From your side, a true civilization is which teaches us mindfulness rather than mindlessness. So this is how you can write about it. This is the fundamental problem. So how to change it? Can we let it continue? Because if, when the experts are saying It is a climate emergency. Can we accept the business as usual? Gone are the days when we have been told to respect the rights of our coming generation. Now we are feeling heat. Now we are feeling cold. Now we are feeling the scale of population. So the action has to be taken now, because it is already too late. Okay, so this is how you can write. Now, what is so important for a student writing an essay for civil services? They should also always talk about the solutions. What is a solution? What should be the public policy? यहाँ से हम आगे कहाँ जा सकते हैं? तो आपको अब एडमिनिस्ट्रेटिव अप्रोच दिखानी चाहिए कि क्या सॉल्यूशंस आप लेने वाले हैं, और सॉल्यूशंस जो इमीडिएट सॉल्यूशंस होंगे, जो शॉर्ट टर्म सॉल्यूशंस होंगे, और जो लॉन्ग टर्म सॉल्यूशंस होंगे। आपको ये दिखाना चाहिए कि इस मुद्दे के ऊपर आपकी थॉट प्रोसेस क्या है, आपके पास सॉल्यूशंस क्या हैं, उसको आप कैसे लेके जा सकते हैं। तो वंस वी recognize, we have to take some immediate measures. So what will be the immediate measures? We have to bring the laws that check the further mindless consumption, and always tell about your approach of governance. It is the government and the civil society, they have to work together. And if we talk about the long-term measures, the long-term measures is we have to bring the value-based or the normative changes. We have to change the values. We have to change our society from a consumerist society to conservationist society. And as our Prime Minister at Glasgow Summit has also talked about and launched the lifestyle for environment, means we have to change the way we live. Without changing the value system, whatever efforts we will have, it will be either firefighting or it will be fighting at the level of surface, but it is not going to bring the long term change, the sustainable change. And therefore we have to focus on that, how are we going to do it. And of course today, if the task is so enormous, obviously the government alone will not work. Civil society is required. We require actions at the local level, we require actions at the regional level, continental level, the national level, and of course global level. So where can you end this essay? You can end this essay with the vision. The vision is, may the peace prevail, may the wisdom prevail, and let we are able to build a society which is not only caring to the other human beings, but also to the other animals, plants, nature. Because it is, you have to realize that how the life of us is interdependent on each and every, even the smallest element, a smallest entity in this world. We all are interdependent, and hence only when we take care of the interest of all, and it requires that we have to be sensitive, it requires that we have to be empathetic, it requires that we have to be responsible. So show your value system, show your mind as an administrator to write this answer, and the answer can easily be concluded with the vision. Sarve bhavantu sukhina, सर्वे सन्तु निरामया, सर्वे भद्राणि पश्यन्तु, मा कश्चित् भाग भवेत्. So with this belief that the entire world is a family, we are interdependent in this living chain. There is a role of even the smallest microorganism, and it is us, it is in us to take care of the environment. And it is not that we are doing favor to anybody, but it is like we are helping ourselves, and it is our moral responsibility, it is our civic responsibility, and it is also our religious responsibility. So in this essay, what I have done, I have told you the problem, then I have deconstructed you, then I have deconstructed the topic, then I have reached the superficial reason, but the philosophical reason. Then how to handle this? Can we let it like this, or we have to handle? What strategies we have to be adopted, and what governance model will be required? And then the vision that let's hope we are going to live in a much better world, and we have to pursue this task as our duty and responsibility. So I believe that you have understood how this answer could have been tackled. Okay, so now let us move to the next question. भविष्य के साम्राज्य मस्तिष्क के साम्राज्य होंगे. The empires of the future will be the empires of mind. So how to deal with this interesting question? ये क्वेश्चन ज्यादा फिलोसॉफिकल है. The empires of future will be the empires of mind. ठीक है. And before that, I would also like that to inform you, because I don't know for how long is your attention span, and for how long you will be having patience to watch. So I conduct an essay program, and I love to teach essay, and I can assure you that if you attend this program, not only you will learn how to think and write on any topic, you will learn how to write in a way which is impressive, which doesn't require you to memorize anything, any Estel, Pestel, Vestel, whatever approaches. No, you will become an original thinker. And the most important thing is the class, the essay class will give you a sense of well-being, and again the writing skills which you will learn here, you will utilize it. You can get more marks in all subjective papers, because ultimately what we have to do, we have to learn how to think. And the question which I am going to discuss is also that the future empires will be the empires of mind. थिंकिंग की बात है, इसीलिए ऐसे का प्रिपरेशन कैसे करना चाहिए. अगर आप 15 दिन में एक ऐसे लिखते हैं और एक ब्रेन स्टॉर्मिंग सेशन का पार्ट बनते हैं, अपने अंदर के आइडियाज को बाहर निकालते हैं, पेपर पे निकालते हैं, आपके साथ कोई 1-to-1 इंटरैक्शन करता है, ग्रुप इंटरैक्शन करता है, कोई रीजन ही नहीं है कि आपके मार्क्स नहीं आए। और फिर से मैं बता रही हूं, बजाय हम इस तरीके से सोचें कि बाकी पेपर पढ़ के हम ऐसे लिख पाएंगे, आप ये सोचिए ऐसे का पेपर आपको देता है राइटिंग स्किल, इसके बाद आप हर अदर पेपर लिख पाएंगे। ठीक है, और लकीली ये जो टॉपिक है, ये टॉपिक भी मेरी इस बात को बताता है। तो द नेक्स्ट बैच विल स्टार्ट फ्रॉम 6 अक्टूबर। 15 डेज का बैच होता है। मेरे तरीके से लोग वाकिफ हैं। तो हाउ आई डू थ्रू द ब्रेन स्टॉर्मिंग, इसलिए डिफरेंट जो फिलोसफिकल एरियाज हैं, स्ट्रीम्स हैं, उसके ऊपर होगा एक सेशन, फिर क्वेश्चन, फिर सेशन। डिटेल्स आप देख सकते हैं, डिटेल में थोड़ी देर बाद डिस्कस करती हूँ। और अब हम आ जाते हैं इस क्वेश्चन पे कि एम्पायर्स ऑफ द फ्यूचर will be the empires of the mind. Empires. Who will rule the future? फ्यूचर में कौन रूल करेगा? वो होगा एम्पायर ऑफ माइंड। तो पहले कौन सा रूल होता था? पहले रूल होता था रूल ऑफ द मसल, बट अभी क्या है? रूल ऑफ माइंड। यानी धीरे धीरे किस पावर या कैपेबिलिटी जो है वो सबसे स्ट्रॉन्गेस्ट और रेलिवेंट बनने वाली है, वो है कैपेसिटी ऑफ माइंड। अब ये जो एक टॉपिक है, इस टॉपिक पर आपको कैसे सोचना है? आपको सोचना है एक एडमिनिस्ट्रेटर के रूप में, आपको फिलोसोफर के रूप में नहीं सोचना है, क्योंकि आप सिविल सर्विसेज में जाने वाले और आपकी एडमिनिस्ट्रेटिव स्किल यहां पर टेस्ट होगी। ठीक है, तो अब पहले ये सोचिए, द एम्पायर्स ऑफ फ्यूचर विल बी द एम्पायर्स ऑफ माइंड, बट was there ever any empire without mind? Or don't you think that always the intellectuals have been the rulers, and in the time to come, more a person is intellectual, more that person will be रूलिंग? या अगर हमारी सोसाइटी है, अगर इंडियन सोसाइटी है, तो यदि इंडिया हैज टू रूल द वर्ल्ड, तो हमको क्या करना होगा? वी हैव टू स्ट्रेंथन आवर कैपेबिलिटीज। हमको अपना डेमोग्राफिक डिविडेंड का फायदा लेना होगा, लोगों के मेंटल कैपेसिटी को बढ़ाना होगा, क्योंकि जहां पर मेंटल कैपेसिटी है, आज के टाइम में, पिछला ऐसे आपने देखा ही है कि कैसे रिसोर्सेस का एक्सप्लॉयटेशन हमें कम करना होगा, लेकिन एक रिसोर्स ऐसा है जिसका एक्सप्लॉयटेशन आप, जिसका यूज आप जितना ज्यादा करेंगे वो उतना ज्यादा ग्रो होगा, और वो रिसोर्स है हमारा माइंड। ठीक है, तो हम किस एज में रह रहे हैं, किस तरीके की सोसाइटी में हम आज रह रहे हैं? हम रह रहे हैं नॉलेज सोसाइटी में। वी आर लिविंग इन अ नॉलेज सोसाइटी। तो नॉलेज सोसाइटी में सबसे बड़ा रिसोर्स क्या है? सबसे बड़ा एसेट क्या है? सबसे बड़ा एसेट है योर माइंड। माइंड, क्योंकि माइंड से ही तो सोल्यूशन है। बुद्धा क्या कहते हैं? माइंडफुलनेस। माइंड का यूज या तो हम माइंडलेसनेस से कर सकते हैं या हम माइंडफुलनेस से कर सकते हैं। तो सबसे पहले टॉपिक को देखते हुए आइडियाज को आप कलेक्ट करिए। फाइंड द एम्पायर्स ऑफ फ्यूचर। तो एम्पायर क्यों चाहिए? एम्पायर का मतलब क्या है? आपको इस्टेब्लिश करना है कंट्रोल, आपको इस्टेब्लिश करना है पावर। क्यों क्यों इस्टेब्लिश करना है? वाई शुड वी बी वरीड अबाउट बिल्डिंग द एम्पायर्स? एम्पायर्स को बिल्ड क्यों करना है, पहले ये सोचिए। और एम्पायर को बिल्ड करने के लिए आपको क्या चाहिए? आपके पास होने चाहिए एलिमेंट्स ऑफ पावर। तो एलिमेंट्स ऑफ पावर में जो बिगेस्ट एलिमेंट है वो क्या है? एलिमेंट ऑफ माइंड। तो कोई ऐसा देश जो दुनिया को कंट्रोल करना चाहता है, ठीक है, उसके पास क्या होना चाहिए? मेंटल पावर। उसके पास क्या होना चाहिए? टेक्नोलॉजिकल पावर। उसके पास होना चाहिए पावर ऑफ नो हाउ। उसके पास होना चाहिए इंटेलिजेंस। क्यों? क्योंकि आज वॉरफेयर की टेक्निक्स आर ऑल्सो चेंजिंग। इट इज नॉट अ फ्यूडल वर्ल्ड व्हेन मसल पावर वॉज वर्किंग। तो अब अगर इस ऐसे में हम थोड़ा सा कलर सिविल सर्विसेज का दे दें तो कैसे देंगे उसको? फिर आप पॉलिसी पे आ जाइए। कौन सी पॉलिसी की आप बात करेंगे? एजुकेशन पॉलिसी की आप बात करेंगे। कैसे आपको एजुकेशन देना है? तो मैंने क्या बताया था, हर एरिया, क्लाइमेट पे आप एक प्रिपेयर करिए, एजुकेशन पे आप प्रिपेयर करिए, और उसका यूटिलाइजेशन। हमें बहुत कुछ नॉलेज होती है लेकिन हमें उसका यूटिलाइजेशन नहीं आता है, तो हमको उसका यूटिलाइजेशन सीखना चाहिए। ठीक है, तो चलो अब हम इसको बिल्ड करते हैं। इसमें हमको स्टोरी बिल्ड करनी पड़ेगी। एम्पायर ऑफ द फ्यूचर। Who will control the future? Will be the empire of the mind. ठीक है? And what can be the better example than the empire of Buddha? From east to west, north south, from Sri Lanka till Afghanistan, from India, from east to west, everywhere, from Japan, India, it is Buddha. So Buddha's empire is of which type? Buddha's empire is an empire of mind. ठीक है, तो अब हमको ये समझना है कि importance of empire. So the drive for empire, this represent a very specific aspect of human nature. Fine. तो human nature में there is a drive for power. ठीक है, so all students of political science know who said so, but don't write the political philosopher. Fine, you can write the famous English scholar and the philosopher. Hobbes has established that man is power seeking. Now we can talk about another very important philosopher. Who is that? Nietzsche. What Nietzsche has said, there is will to power or recognition in man है power. Now what about the Indian thinkers? If we talk about Manu, we talk about Kautilya, all emphasize on the importance of power in the life. ठीक है, तो सेंट्रल आइडिया किसके ऊपर है? पावर पर। लेकिन पावर एक नेगेटिव टर्म है, तो आपको एक्सप्लेन करना होगा कि जो पावर है, आपको रियलिस्टिकली एक्सप्लेन करना होगा कि इट इज देयर इन ह्यूमन नेचर टू लुक फॉर पावर। फाइन। The issue is why a person looks for power and why power is important. Because we do not live in the world of idea. Fine. We live in the world of matter. तो मटीरियल वर्ल्ड में इफ वी आर लिविंग इन द वर्ल्ड ऑफ मैटर, देन टू लीड अ गुड लाइफ यू नीड what? You need power. Power, and it can have the multiple forms: the material power, the physical power, the cultural, and the ideological power. Fine. So power here, normally in our culture, power is seen as something negative. But this is saying that go and build the empire. You will build empire on the basis of what? Power. So power is very, very important aspect of human nature. Fine. So you need power. And just like you can say that a state can be said to be an individual writ large, means what applies in case of an individual also applies in case of the states. So if individual need power to lead a good life, a state also need power. Fine. To ensure the security of its people, to ensure prosperity of its people, and hence there is a natural desire, or it is very natural for the statesmen to seek power, to build the empire. So it is very natural for the statesmen to seek power and then to build the empire. ठीक है? Now, if we talk about ancient India, once a person becomes king, person has to go for what? Ashwamedh Yagya. Fine. And what was it? It was to establish the empire. And why to establish the empire? Because you need resources to give a good life to your people. And what does the Indian text Arthashastra tell? It tells that in the happiness of the subjects lies the happiness of the king. तो सबसे पहले आपको रैशनल फॉर एम्पायर बताना होगा कि भाई एम्पायर बिल्डिंग क्यों की जाए। एंड आप भी एडमिनिस्ट्रेशन में जा रहे हैं तो आपको कौन सा रैशनल बताना होगा जो किंग के लिए अप्लाई होता है। तो किंग को क्या करना होगा, एम्पायर को बिल्ड करना होगा, ठीक है। एंड this is a universal desire that is being seen. There have been age of Oriental empires. In the western part, we have seen there are people, for example, in India, if there have been people like Chandragupta Maurya, Ashoka, Samudragupta, they have built their empire. So in the West, there have been people like Alexander, fine. There have been people like Julius Caesar who were building the empire, fine. So what you will establish, why to build the empire and what is its importance. तो आप एक रैशनल को पहले establish करेंगे empire बिल्डिंग के, ठीक है। और अगर एम्पायर बिल्टअप होता है तो क्या होता है, हमारे पास हमारी जनता के लिए बहुत सारे रिसोर्सेस होते हैं। तो अब हमको ये देखना है कि फ्यूचर के एम्पायर्स कैसे बिल्टअप होंगे, ठीक है। तो पहले हमको देखना होगा कि पास्ट में जो एम्पायर्स थे वो कैसे बिल्टअप हुए, ठीक है। तो आप ये भी लिख सकते हैं, इट इज अ ड्यूटी ऑफ द किंग टू एक्सपैंड हिज एम्पायर बिकॉज इट एक्सपैंड्स द सोर्सेस ऑफ द वेल-बीइंग ऑफ द पीपल, फाइन। एंड इन द हैप्पीनेस ऑफ द सब्जेक्ट्स लाइज द हैप्पीनेस ऑफ द किंग। And then we will say that empires in the past and then empires of future, ठीक है। तो whenever you build an empire, you will be requiring all types of power, fine. But at different time, different means were important. So if you see the earliest empires were built on muscle power, fine. And then the technological development have happened and new weapons have come into existence and new weapons have played the role in establishing empire. So you can talk about some ancient empires like Alexander's empire, Chandragupta Maurya's empire. You can talk about some medieval time empires. You can talk about Ottoman Empire, the Persian Empire, and then in modern times, the British Empire, fine. And gradually what happened that along with the weapons, also the need for more and more wisdom, intelligence, knowledge also come into existence. So you can always say that Machiavelli, the famous author of The Prince, which is known as the best book on statecraft, has said that a prince requires to be brave like lion and to be clever like fox, because wisdom is required. And it's not that we are talking about wisdom today. Wisdom was always required to become and to establish your influence and power. But gradually, as our societies are turning into a knowledge society, the importance of knowledge, know-how, mind is bound to increase. Fine. So in future, because there is a limit to exploit the natural resources, because today look for the arguments why the future empires will be the empire of knowledge. So if in future, fine, if in the past, you can always say you require both money power, muscle power and mental power. But in the past, if muscle power had played the role, but in an age of the weapons of mass destruction, in the age of where we have already reached to the limits of growth and limits of exploration of the natural resources, now the biggest asset to be used is the power of mind. And then you can say that in this context we can talk about the importance of the power of India. Fine. So what is the biggest asset of India? The biggest asset of India is its demographic dividend. Fine. So we have to convert our people into the resources. How? By skill development, by capacity building. And it is not just about developing the skills to become a good technician. It is we have to become the leaders in every segment of modern economy. Modern economy is based on the power of mind. Fine. We have to become the technological power, and that is why there is so much emphasis. The government has brought a new education policy which focus not just on, which rejects the Macaulay system of education, which focus on ability of critical thinking and critical learning. And if we can successfully implement the vision of the new education policy, we can be a good example to testify this particular sowing. You can also say in the past it was a European century. Europeans have built their empire. Then came the American century, and now Asian century. So the Asian century, considering the phenomenal growth in the technology from emerging technology from computer to AI. You can talk about AI. I told you that there will be a question related to it. Fine. It means to harness this technology, to develop this technology, because the future wars will be what? The technological wars. And if future wars are going to be the technological war, how are we going to protect our interest? By developing those technologies. So what we have to build as an administrator, we have to build the institutions of eminence in education and in almost all aspects of education. And while we are going for technological education, technical education, STEM education, we cannot ignore the moral aspect of education. We cannot ignore the humanities education, because if future empires are built on the basis of mind, it cannot be built on mindlessness. It has to be built on mindfulness. So we also need to teach our people the values, the right kind of values, respecting environment, respecting humanity, the technology not to be used to destroy the human civilization, but to fulfill, to flourish the human civilization. So not only you understand this, you should also tell what you are going to with this statement, how this statement you will be implementing it, and then you can say that now the time that will come will be the time of India. We had American century, European century, and now Asian century, but we have to make it an Indian century. Means the rise of India, and the rise of India, leave any other country. The rise of India, because every nation is unique, every nation has its identity. So the rise of India has to be based, India has to go the Bharat way. India is supposed to be the Vishwa Guru. And how will you become a Vishwa Guru? By harnessing the power of the mind. And so it is very clear, in future the empires will be the empires of mind, because you have to compete with technology, but mind has to be mindfulness and not mindlessness. And that is why we have to provide holistic education. We have to convert our demography into a demographic dividend. And in case the future empire is going to be an empire of mind, where we talk about mindfulness and not mindlessness, the future empires will be an empire of peace, an empire where there will be the welfare of all, in accordance to the Indian vision of Sarve Bhavantu Sukhina, Sarve Santu Niramaya, Sarve Bhadrani Pashyantu, Ma Kashchit Dukh Bhagam Bhavet. कट कर हाँ इनको को भी होल्ड करा है किसी को बुला लो बाहर से होल्ड कर दो होल्ड अभी सही चल रहा है आवाज आवाज कितने बच्चे हैं पार्ट 1 पार्ट चलिए, so I believe you all have taken little rest. Fine, because as a teacher I am used to long sessions, but I don't know as a students how far is your concentration span. So from time to time we'll take a break for 1 or 2 minutes and we will continue, because later भी आपको अगर थोड़ा पार्टी देखना है आप देख सकते हैं. And now what is the next question? प्रसन्नता का कोई मार्ग नहीं है, प्रसन्नता ही मार्ग है. This is the philosophy of my life, and my students in the class, they must be well aware of that. In every class I tell that life is all about passions, life is all about motion, and you have to know how to live in the moment. Fine. So we search for happiness in the life, जबकि पाथ ही तो हैप्पीनेस है. मैंने हमेशा आपको क्लास में क्या बताया? यू विल बिकम एन IAS ऑफिसर एंड देन अनदर जर्नी विल स्टार्ट. तो लाइफ क्या है? लाइफ इज अ जर्नी. हु लीड्स अ गुड लाइफ? वन हु नोज हाउ टू बी अ गुड ट्रेवलर. फाइन. In the class, I have repeated number of times that life is what? The life is a bottomless and a borderless sea. तो अच्छी जिंदगी जीने के लिए क्या करना होगा? अच्छी जिंदगी जीने के लिए हमें आना चाहिए हाउ टू स्विम, यानी जिंदगी को कैसे जिया जाए. और लाइफ में आपको क्या सोचना है? आई हैव टोल्ड ना, एक रास्ता है जिंदगी. इन द यस्टरडेज क्लास इटसेल्फ आई वाज टेलिंग, जो थम गए तो कुछ नहीं. ठीक है, एक रास्ता है जिंदगी, जो थम गए तो कुछ नहीं. यानी यही तो फिलॉसफी है. फिलॉसफी क्या होती है? फिलॉसफी ऑफ लाइफ. फिलोसॉफिकल क्वेश्चंस क्या होते हैं? द क्वेश्चंस दैट टेल यू. इन माय क्लास आई ऑलवेज टेल माय स्टूडेंट्स, अ स्टूडेंट ऑफ फिलोसफी नेवर एवर रिक्वायर्स अ साइकोलॉजिस्ट. बिकॉज अगर आपने फिलोसफी पढ़ ली और फिलोसफी से एक बार आपको प्यार हो गया, बिकॉज दीज आर द वर्ड्स ऑफ विजडम, तो आपको न किसी साइकोलॉजिस्ट की ज़रूरत पड़ेगी, न किसी और थेरेपिस्ट की ज़रूरत पड़ेगी. और फिलॉसफी में मैंने हमेशा बताया है आपको, बिकॉज वी डोंट नो व्हाट इज गोइंग टू हैपन नेक्स्ट, सो यू लिव इन अ मोमेंट, enjoy the moment. Don't wait for a big happiness to come. For that, don't ignore the everyday small happiness. Fine. So let us see, if I have to write the philosophy, how will I write it? The question is, there is no path to happiness. Happiness का कोई रास्ता नहीं है. Happiness is the path. Happiness खुद पाथ है. Happiness गोल नहीं है. There is no path to happiness. Happiness की तरफ ले जाने वाला रास्ता और फिर आप happiness तक पहुंचेंगे, ऐसा कुछ नहीं है. Happiness खुद पाथ है. ठीक है, आपने ये सुना होगा ना, हंसते हंसते कट जाएं रस्ते, जिंदगी यूं ही चलती रहे, खुशी मिले या गम बदलेंगे ना हम. ठीक है, यही तो आइडिया है कि हैप्पीनेस इज द पाथ। ठीक है, यानी कि it should be a part of your life, it should be a part of your value system। ठीक है, तो फिर से हम इस क्वेश्चन की ओर जाते हैं। प्रसन्नता का कोई मार्ग ही नहीं है, ये रास्ता आपको प्रसन्नता की तरफ ले जाएगा, ये रास्ता प्रसन्नता की तरफ ले जाएगा। प्रसन्नता आपके बाहर थोड़ी है, प्रसन्नता तो आपके अंदर है। ठीक है, प्रसन्नता ही वे ऑफ लाइफ है, हैप्पीनेस इज द पाथ, वे ऑफ लाइफ है। अगर आपकी जिंदगी की फिलॉसफी यही है तो आपको प्रसन्नता ढूंढनी थोड़ी पड़ेगी, प्रसन्नता तो आपके पास है। लाइफ में वॉट एवर इज हैपनिंग, good and bad, it all depends upon us, how we are going to take it. Are we going to take our failures as a sorrow and sit and cry, or are we are going to take our failures also a learning and get a joy of it? So it is your attitude that will shape your life. Fine. So now let us see, there is no path, I will write here. So there is no path to happiness. Happiness is the path. There are so many songs on this philosophy. ठीक है, आई डोंट रिमेम्बर, बट एक सॉन्ग होगा कि जश्न मनाता चला गया। फाइन, तो वही है, ये स्पिरिट ऑफ लाइफ है, और हैप्पीनेस ही तो लिविंग स्पिरिट है। इफ यू आर हैप्पी यू विल मेक द एनवायरमेंट हैप्पी, so if your environment is happy you will be more happy, and happiness is a very fundamental philosophical question। ठीक है, प्रसन्नता का कोई मार्ग नहीं है। तो पर्पस ऑफ लाइफ क्या है? लाइफ का पर्पस, पर्पस ऑफ लाइफ इज हैप्पीनेस। ठीक है, एटलीस्ट इन वेस्टर्न फिलॉसफी हैप्पीनेस। ठीक है, तो पर्पस क्या है? कैसे पता चला पर्पस ऑफ लाइफ इज हैप्पीनेस? आपको करना क्या है? आपको फिलॉसफी करनी है। फिलॉसफी करनी है मतलब क्या? डीप थिंकिंग करिए इसके ऊपर, लेकिन डीप थिंकिंग फिलॉसफर करके नहीं करिए, आपको एडमिनिस्ट्रेटर करके करना होगा। आपको सोचना चाहिए कि हम इसके लिए कैसे इन प्रैक्टिस इस चीज को हम अप्लाई करेंगे। ठीक है, तो पर्पस ऑफ लाइफ इज हैप्पीनेस। इसीलिए लाइफ को क्या कहा जाता है? द बिगेस्ट ब्लेसिंग and the biggest gift of God। तो सबसे पहले आपको इस ऐसे में ये बताना होगा कि हैप्पीनेस का इम्पोर्टेंस क्यों है लाइफ में। तो आपको इस्टैब्लिश करना होगा पर्पस ऑफ लाइफ, और पर्पस ऑफ लाइफ हमेशा क्या रहा है? मेन फिलोसॉफिकल क्वेश्चन रहा है। ठीक है, तो पर्पस ऑफ लाइफ इज हैप्पीनेस, एंड throughout our life, what do we search? We search happiness. ठीक है, तो ह्यूमन लाइफ की जो जर्नी है वो क्या है? सर्च फॉर हैप्पीनेस. Can you give an example of certain lives which have been the search for happiness? Life of Buddha. ये बुद्धा की लाइफ क्या कहती है? Search for happiness, and ultimately what Buddha have realized, that ultimate happiness itself is the path. जिसको हम जर्नी समझते हैं, यही वो पाथ है, यही वो एसेट है. ठीक है, यानी एंडिंग दुख, दुख को आप समाप्त करें, और जैसे ही आप दुख को समाप्त करते हैं आप हैप्पी हो जाते हैं. ठीक है, तो ये एक बहुत फंडामेंटल फिलोसफिकल क्वेश्चन है, हैप्पीनेस. ठीक है, तो अब क्वेश्चन ये है कि व्हाट इज हैप्पीनेस. सेकेंड पार्ट इसका क्या है? हाउ टू अटेन हैप्पीनेस. ठीक है, फाइन. सो हैप्पीनेस इज, आप कैसे सोच सकते हैं, आप क्या एक्सप्लेन कर सकते हैं अबाउट व्हाट इज हैप्पीनेस? तो ऐसे में आप कितना इस चीज को सोच सकते हैं? आपके लिए हैप्पीनेस क्या है? व्हाट इज हैप्पीनेस फॉर यू? व्हाट इज इट्स इंपॉर्टेंस फॉर यू? ठीक है, हैप्पीनेस है लाइफ force. If your life is not happy, you may go to end your life. Happiness है living. Happiness है vitality. ठीक है, and that is why throughout our life we keep on searching happiness. And sometimes we believe that happiness is about the fulfillment of our desires. And for fulfillment of the desires, again, we require the resources. We require the means. ठीक है, हमको हैप्पी होने के लिए क्या चाहिए? रिसोर्सेस. हमको हैप्पी होने के लिए चाहिए मीन्स. ठीक है, अब मीन्स क्या हो सकते हैं? मीन्स पावर हो सकता है, पॉलिटिकल पावर हो सकता है, इकोनॉमिक पावर हो सकता है. ठीक है, अब इस मीन्स को पाने के लिए क्या करना होगा हमें? मीन्स के लिए आपको स्ट्रगल करना होगा. ठीक है, क्यों स्ट्रगल करना होगा? द डिलेमा ऑफ अनलिमिटेड डिजायर्स एंड द लिमिटेड मीन्स. तो ह्यूमन लाइफ स्ट्रगल है. हम स्ट्रगल क्यों करते हैं? हम स्ट्रगल करते हैं with the objective that at the end of the struggle we will get happiness. Fine. So basically, what is required that you can struggle? When can you struggle? Is it easy to struggle? No. So you have to develop the capabilities, skills, or nobody is ever sure of the destination. The destination will be one day, and that happiness will be one day. Why not make this struggle itself happiness? Why not develop an attitude which makes us, whatever life gives to us, we learn to be happy, to take it, be it a success, be it a failure, make the best use of life. If the aim is happiness, why should we wait for that grand moment? We can be happy each and every day. We can be happy each and every second. And that is the difference between a person who is wise, who knows what is a good life, and who knows how to lead a good life. And this is a message. And the best story you can write is the story of Buddha, the story of Gandhi. ठीक है? तो Buddha went for the path of happiness. Then Buddha realized that happiness itself is a path. Fine, you have to be happy. Find out you get happiness in what? Fine, maybe helping a sick person can give you happiness the way Buddha got. Maybe doing, and without making every movement every movement as a movement of happiness, you will not be able to manage the struggle of your life. So this is how you can open up, you can write your perspective, and at the same time, because you are writing an essay for civil services, bring the angle of public policy. ठीक है? So as a state, we have to give a happy life to the people. Fine? But happiness is not going to come on a platter. So we have to teach our people how to fight well. And to be able to fight well, it is very important that their mental well-being, their mind is well. So as an administrator, if you have been given the task to achieve, to give a direction to your people so that they achieve grand aims, you have to first teach them how to be happy, how to enjoy the struggle, how to enjoy the journey more than the destination. And for that, you have to have a proper system of education. You have to give them the right kind of enlightenment. You have to give them skills. You have to give them environment. So at the state level, lot needs to be done. And if this can be done for a country like India, where the biggest asset is nothing other than people, and if we teach our people this truth of life, India can achieve the ideals of being Vishwaguru. And you can also talk about a very important initiative has been the happiness classes that have been introduced by the government of Delhi. So there are so many ways. First, collect the ideas, decide how will you develop the idea, and I can say that with the classes, because I do the brainstorming. Even the most difficult, I don't think there will be any topic which will be difficult and you will not be able to, and you will ever be in a position that you cannot write and you go blank. So within few minutes we'll come back. ब्रेक किया करो. चलिए, तो लेट अस डू द नेक्स्ट क्वेश्चन। तो सारे क्वेश्चन तो बहुत सारे होंगे, देखती हूं कि इसको डीकंस्ट्रक्ट कैसे करते हैं। तो क्वेश्चन है, प्रश्न पूछने वाला ही विज्ञान का सच्चा सिपाही है। द डाउटर इज अ ट्रू मैन ऑफ साइंस। पॉलिटिकल साइंस के बच्चों के लिए तो मुझे लगता है इट शुड बी अ केक वॉक। ठीक है, क्वेश्चन क्या है? क्वेश्चन ये है, ये तो सबसे आसान टॉपिक यही है। द डाउटर इज अ ट्रू मैन ऑफ साइंस। ठीक है, प्रश्न पूछने वाला ही, प्रश्न पूछने वाला ही विज्ञान का सच्चा सिपाही है। अगर मैं कहूं कि इस स्टेटमेंट को आप ऐसे पढ़ो, unexamined life is not worth living। क्या आप रिलेट कर पा रहे हैं? अनएग्जामिन्ड लाइफ इज नॉट वर्थ लिविंग। ठीक है, तो अक्सर लोगों को साइंस का मतलब नहीं पता होता है। ठीक है, ये किसका स्टेटमेंट है? अनएग्जामिन्ड लाइफ इज नॉट वर्थ लिविंग, सोक्रेटिस का। तो सोक्रेटिस कौन है? सोक्रेटिस है फर्स्ट फिलोसोफर। फिलोसोफर का मतलब क्या होता है? द मैन ऑफ नॉलेज। और सोक्रेटिस ने क्या कहा? हाउ टू लीड अ गुड लाइफ। तो सोक्रेटिस का स्टेटमेंट है, वर्च्यू इज नॉलेज, मीन्स अ गुड लाइफ requires knowledge. Good life requires true knowledge. ठीक है, and how true knowledge comes? True knowledge comes by examining our beliefs. We lead our life with the set of beliefs, and from belief to true knowledge we have to examine it। ठीक है, तो यही है सोक्रेटिस जो है वो है दुनिया का सबसे बड़ा फिलोसोफर। सोक्रेटिस है दुनिया का सबसे बड़ा टीचर। और क्या पढ़ाता है वो, क्या सिखाता है अपने स्टूडेंट्स को? सिर्फ एक चीज, आस्किंग क्वेश्चंस और क्वेश्चनिंग आवर बिलीफ्स। ठीक है, तो विज्ञान का सच्चा सिपाही इसलिए जो इस आंसर को करेगा उसे क्या पता होना चाहिए? उसे पता होना चाहिए साइंस का क्या मतलब है। और पॉलिटिकल साइंस का जो स्टूडेंट है, मैंने हमेशा बताया है कि कंसेप्ट ऑफ साइंस क्या है। ठीक है, हमेशा किसी भी चीज को समझना है तो उसके एटिमोलॉजिकल ओरिजिन में जाइए। ठीक है, तो साइंस क्या है? लोग बहुत बड़ी गलती करते हैं जब साइंस को सिर्फ नेचुरल साइंस के रूप में इंटरप्रेट करते हैं। ठीक है, तो द डाउटर is a true man of science। और ऐसे हमेशा ऐसे लिखो, ऐसे में बहुत सारे फैक्ट्स वैक्ट्स मत लिखो, दैट मेक्स योर ऐसे मैकेनिकल। ऐसे ऐसे नहीं होना चाहिए कि भाई जीएस का कोई बड़ा सा आंसर, इलैबोरेट आंसर नहीं। आप खुद देखिए, कोई भी चीज को आप जब करते हैं तो आपको सबसे पहले पता होना चाहिए ह्यूमन साइकोलॉजी क्या है। ठीक है, तो बहुत सारे लोग या बहुत सारे जो भी एक्सपर्ट्स हैं वो बताते हैं कि भाई ऐसे को आप बहुत फैक्ट करके लिखिए। नहीं, जब आप कोई पेपर रीड करते हो तो अगर उसमें बहुत सारे फैक्ट्स आते हैं तो क्या वो पेपर पढ़ना आसान होता है? या वो पेपर पढ़ना आपको अच्छा लगता है जिसमें फ्लो ऑफ आइडियाज आते हैं? तो आपको क्या बताना है? आपको एग्जामिनर को देना है फील गुड का एलिमेंट। इसलिए एसे का पेपर और जीएस का पेपर नॉलेज बेस भले एक हो, लेकिन राइटिंग स्टाइल इतना बोरिंग नहीं होना चाहिए कि फैक्ट्स फैक्ट्स भर दिए। ठीक है, एक थ्रेड को पकड़ करके उसे आगे ले जाना चाहिए जिससे पढ़ने वाले को मजा आए। पढ़ते पढ़ते बहुत सारे फैक्ट्स आ जाते हैं ना, तो पढ़ने का मजा खत्म हो जाता है। और ऐसे में मार्क्स लाने का यही एक क्लू है। ठीक है, तो अब द डाउटर, अब यहां पर या तो लोग साइंस बड़े सुपरफिशियल अंडरस्टैंडिंग से लिख देंगे, या साइंस लिखने के लिए द रियल कॉन्सेप्ट ऑफ साइंस आना चाहिए। ठीक है, तो व्हाट इज साइंस? फाइन, those who know the Greek philosophy, they understand the term science comes from the Greek term episteme। एपिस्टीम का मतलब होता है नॉलेज, या ट्रू नॉलेज। ठीक है, तो पहला काम ये करना था कि साइंस और इन्वेंशन और डिस्कवरी के रूप में नहीं इसका आंसर को लिखना था, इस आंसर को लिखना था सर्च फॉर नॉलेज। अब मैं थोड़ा थोड़ा ब्रीफ में ही करूंगी, बहुत सारे टॉपिक हैं। तो नेक्स्ट चीज आपको क्या पता होनी चाहिए कि भाई वाई टू सर्च नॉलेज? बिकॉज वर्च्यू इज नॉलेज। ठीक है, एंड लीडिंग अ वर्चुअस लाइफ यू नीड नॉलेज। ठीक है, तो मैन ऑफ साइंस मीन्स अ मैन ऑफ ट्रू knowledge, okay, and a man of true knowledge can only lead a good life। and what is the purpose of life? good life, happy life। तो फिलॉसफी में आपका मेन क्वेश्चन क्या होता है? पर्पस ऑफ लाइफ। पर्पस ऑफ लाइफ मतलब गुड लाइफ। गुड लाइफ मतलब नॉलेज ऑफ गुड लाइफ। अब कौन सी नॉलेज? द ट्रू नॉलेज। और ट्रू नॉलेज है एपिस्टीम, और वहां से आता है वर्ड ऑफ साइंस या साइंस। नाउ हाउ knowledge will develop? Knowledge will develop when you have a doubt. If you do not have doubt on what you know and on your thinking, you will not develop knowledge. Your knowledge will become stagnant. ठीक है? Again, this entire thing can be related to the philosophy of Socrates. So what Socrates said, that Socrates is known as the wisest man. Why? Because Socrates used to say, I know nothing. Means Socrates is doubting, says that people call me wise, people call me scientific, but this you can understand only when you do not limit your understanding of science with the discourse of natural science, because he is doubting his knowledge, and for that he has developed the method of dialectics. Only by doubt, only by questioning, we reach to the truth. Okay, so what Socrates said, how a person can gain knowledge? When a person leave arrogance. If you will believe that you know everything, there is no scope of doubt. This is reflecting what? It is reflecting your ignorance and arrogance. ठीक है? A person who is in search of true knowledge will always go into the direction of questioning his beliefs. And this is how philosophy begins. Fine. So this is how what we see beginning of philosophy. Philosophy is what? Philosophy is a search for true knowledge, and philosophy is started when you started questioning mythology. आप साइंस और माइथोलॉजी में तो डिफरेंस समझते हैं? तो पहले माइथोलॉजी बेसिस था, फिर माइथोलॉजी पर जब डाउट किया गया तो फिलॉसफी आई, और फिलॉसफी के लिए टर्म यूज किया गया एपिस्टीम। तो हम ट्रू नॉलेज की तरफ कैसे जाते हैं? जब हम इस्टैब्लिश्ड बिलीफ को क्वेश्चन करते हैं। अब आपने पॉलिटिकल साइंस में पढ़ा होगा बहुत सारे फिलोसोफर्स जिन्होंने साइंस की फिलॉसफी दी है या साइंटिफिक मेथड की फिलॉसफी दी है। ठीक है, तो उसमें एक इंपॉर्टेंट स्कॉलर है कार्ल पॉपर। और कार्ल पॉपर किस लिए फेमस है? वो फेमस है अपने कॉन्सेप्ट फॉल्सिफिकेशन के लिए। और फॉल्सिफिकेशन क्या है? कि we reach to the knowledge when we go for falsification, means we will reach to a greater truth when science is what? Search for truth. and we will reach to the greater truth when we will search for those evidences which prove us wrong, rather than searching for the evidences which prove us right. Fine. So it's not that the philosophers in the West have understood the connection between knowledge, good life, and true knowledge. The philosophers in the East, to begin with, we can talk about Buddha, who is known as the light of Asia, the enlightened. So, Buddha attained true knowledge by questioning and doubting the existing beliefs. Buddha questioned that what I am considering as happiness, is it really happiness? Or is it not? Or is it something short? So, your journey towards a good life begins when you are a soldier of science. And a soldier of science means a person in pursuit of true knowledge. And person in pursuit of true knowledge should have the courage to challenge the established knowledge. There are so many knowledge systems which establish their hegemony, and at times we tend to take it as a truth, but without testing on, without critical. Hence, everywhere the man of science, the man, तो आप पहले फिलॉसफी में डिफाइन करिए कि आपको साइंस किसे बताना चाहते हैं. तो मैन ऑफ साइंस विल ऑलवेज सर्च फॉर knowledge and will not take the knowledge for granted. So science tells you critical thinking, science tells you examining your beliefs, science tells you experimentation, science tells you verification, and science tells you not to accept the things as they are or for granted. And after exploring the philosophical angle of it, now you can show how correct the statement is, and we can see with the evolution of the Western world. So in Western world, modernization came, progress came with Renaissance, with enlightenment. Okay, and then what we have seen, the Renaissance and enlightenment was, this science was a means to fight the superstitions, to bring people out of the clutches of the religion or church or orthodoxy, and this has liberated the human soul. And when, because the true knowledge is liberation, because liberation is happiness. Fine, it liberated a human soul, it led the people in the West to reach to the glory, to reach to the moon, to do lot many things which would have been unthinkable. And today, maybe we may disagree with many consequences of the modern civilization, but we also agree that for the progress of any society, you require growth of science. You require to develop the critical attitude, and that is the vision of India's new education policy. That is the vision, because through new education policy, our constitutional vision to have a society where there is a justice, social, economic prevail, and our constitution also mentions that Indian citizens have to develop the scientific temper. Now bring the policy angle from your side. Means, as a state, even Plato and Socrates say what? The most important characteristic of a state is what? A state is a pedagogical institution. So if you want to take the people towards progress, you have to promote knowledge. But which knowledge? The scientific knowledge. Scientific knowledge should not be understood through the narrow lens of natural science. It should include a holistic view of knowledge, all streams of knowledge, but the only condition is not to take our beliefs for granted, and with continuous introspection we will reach to the truth, and we will reach to what is right, what is virtuous, and that is the idea for a good life. And this is how, in this direction, first deconstruct, and then in this direction, in towards the practical thing, you can take this particular essay. चलिए अब सेक्शन बी के एसेस को डिकंस्ट्रक्ट करते हैं, और मैं कोशिश करूंगी कि उनके मीनिंग्स को आपको डिकंस्ट्रक्ट करके दूं, और अगर आपको इसका एक डिटेल्ड डिस्कशन में पार्टिसिपेट करना है तो सैटरडे, नॉट सैटरडे, coming Sunday we are organizing a workshop, that is on 23rd we are organizing a workshop, sorry, 22nd 22nd means coming Sunday, we are organizing a workshop at 6 p.m. All those who want to discuss at length, they are most invited. And in that workshop, I will also be discussing about my another very exclusive mentorship program which I am going to start, because what I have realized that most of the students often get directionless what to study and how to study, what should be the targets, though I myself believe that it is not about targets, it is about environment, it is about a sense of togetherness that gives something positive to do the work. And as the essay itself said, that happiness is not a destination, happiness is the path itself. And I will ensure that the mentorship program that which I am going to start, and we are also having now a new campus with well equipped facilities, the library itself, that your journey for the exam becomes a path of happiness, not just a destination. This I will ensure in my mentorship class. For that also, you can come and attend the workshop on 22nd. So now I will not take much time. I would like to tell you the essence of these statements. So the question number 5, social media is triggering the fear of missing out among the youth, precipitating the depression and loneliness. And like last year, थोड़ा थोड़ा जो सोशियोलॉजिकल एस्पेक्ट्स हैं वो क्वेश्चंस में कवर होते हैं सेक्शन बी वाले में. तो प्रॉब्लम क्या है? सोशल मीडिया इज ट्रिगरिंग द फियर ऑफ मिसिंग आउट अमंग द यूथ, precipitating depression and loneliness. And who else can understand this problem other than the UPSC students themselves? Because what you have seen is the explosion of information at a scale which is inhuman, which is beyond human. And also because now the social media is not just run by humans, the artificial intelligence. And when so much information is flooding to us every day, it is very, very natural that we get perplexed. मैं तो कहूँगी कि ऐसे के इस टॉपिक ने शायद एस्पिरेंट्स के दिल की बात यहाँ पर लिख दी. और सोशल मीडिया पर इतना कंटेंट आता है कि आपको हमेशा लगता है कि आपसे ये मिस हो गया, आपसे ये मिस हो गया. और ये ह्यूमन साइकोलॉजी है, और ह्यूमन साइकोलॉजी के साथ खेलना ये अपने आप में कह सकते हो मॉडर्न जो इकोनॉमी है, जो कैपिटलिस्ट इकोनॉमी है, ये उसका फीचर है. और क्या होता है, सोशल मीडिया से केवल फियर ऑफ मिसिंग आउट नहीं है. I will say it itself precipitates into depression and loneliness. Loneliness कब होती है? जब आप अकेले हैं. तो सोशल मीडिया, मैंने स्टूडेंट्स को देखा है कि शायद ही, या आजकल इफ यू गो टू मेट्रो you will find everyone with a mobile. Nobody talks to each other, nobody understands each other. तो क्या होगा? सोशल मीडिया लाता है लोनलीनेस. और लोनलीनेस का इम्पैक्ट क्या है कि जब आप लोनलीनेस में हैं तो आप ह्यूमन नेचर के खिलाफ जा रहे हैं, बिकॉज मैन क्या है, मैन इज सोशल बाय नेचर। तो ऑब्वियसली क्या होने वाला है, डिप्रेशन होने वाला है। डिप्रेशन क्या है, लैक ऑफ मोटिवेशन। तो क्या करना चाहिए, ये जो वर्चुअल वर्ल्ड है, ये जो वर्चुअल सोसाइटी है, इससे बाहर निकल के जो हमारी रियल वर्ल्ड है, जो रियल सोसाइटी है, हमें उसका पार्ट बनना चाहिए। हमें सेंस ऑफ आइसोलेशन, लोनलीनेस, एंड लोनलीनेस का जो इम्पैक्ट है वो केवल एक पर्सन और उसका डिप्रेशन नहीं है, बिकॉज आइसोलेशन गिव राइज टू टोटलिटेरियनिज्म। आपने पढ़ा होगा हाना अरेंट में। और ये एक बहुत इंपॉर्टेंट सोशियोलॉजिकल क्वेश्चन है, ये सोशल और पॉलिटिकल फिलॉसफी का क्वेश्चन है। और सोशल एंड पॉलिटिकल फिलॉसफी में एक टर्म आता है एलिनेशन। ठीक है, कोई भी स्टूडेंट जो पॉलिटिकल साइंस का होगा उसने एलिनेशन टर्म तो सुना ही होगा। तो एलिनेशन क्या है, एस्ट्रेंजमेंट। एस्ट्रेंजमेंट का मतलब क्या है, लोनलीनेस, यू बिकम लोन। ठीक है, और लोगों को लोनलीनेस में लाना किस चीज का पार्ट है, ये कैपिटलिज्म का पार्ट है। कैपिटलिज्म में प्रॉफिट कैसे बनता है, by making people insecure. How people are insecure when they are alone. So when they are alone, then you find happiness where? You find happiness in consumerism. ये तो बहुत बड़ा सोशल प्रॉब्लम है और ये एलिनेशन से लिंक्ड है, और इसमें तो आप कितने फिलोसफर्स आप लिख सकते हैं। ठीक है, तो हम इसको कैसे लिख सकते हैं, हम ऐसे लिख सकते हैं कि इम्पॉर्टेंस ऑफ यूथ इन एनी सोसाइटी। किसी भी सोसाइटी का जो बिगेस्ट एसेट क्या है, वो है उसका यूथ। अब यूथ क्यों है बिगेस्ट एसेट, यूथ की कैरेक्टरिस्टिक क्या है, यूथ है विजनरी। यूथ में होता है रोमांटिसिज्म। रोमांटिसिज्म का मतलब क्या है, विजनरी होना, इमेजिनेटिव होना। तो आप पहले लिखिए यूथ के बारे में, यूथ की इंपॉर्टेंस क्या है। यूथ का मतलब है रोमांटिसिज्म। इसी यूथ तो एसेट है, क्योंकि यूथ ही तो आइडियलाइज्ड हो सकता है। यूथ के पास क्या होता है, यूथ के पास होता है आइडियलिज्म। आप अपनी लाइफ में सबसे ज्यादा आइडियलिस्टिक कब होता है, जब आप यूथ होते हैं, यूथफुलनेस। इसीलिए सभी फिलोसोफर्स ने, चाहे आप आर्टिस्ट देखें, चाहे आप फिलोसोफर्स देखें, हमेशा यूथ को ब्यूटी से, पैशन से, यूथ को अचीवमेंट से, एस्पिरेशन से लिंक किया गया है। तो फिलोसफिकल टर्म्स में आप यूथ के बारे में क्या सोचते हैं या क्या राय रखते हैं, पहले आप उसको बताइए। हम लिख सकते हैं यूथ का इंपॉर्टेंस जब हम मैकियावेली की बुक द प्रिंस देखते हैं। तो मैकियावेली ने इंस्टेड ऑफ राइटिंग द टर्म किंग, he appreciated the youthfulness and wrote the prince. And he thought that only a youth, because of their enterprising nature, because of them being visionary, because of them having an idealistic vision, they have a potential to make the Italy to get the glory back. Now, if I talk about India, we can talk about Vivekanand. So Vivekanand has appealed to the youth of India for the revival of India as a nation. His message to the youth. Why youth? Because, as I told you, everybody understands the beauty of youthfulness. So what Vivekanand says, arise, awake, and do not stop until your goal is not achieved. So now see the beauty of the essay and see the paradox. The paradox is there have been the times when we were talking about youth as a source of motivation, aspiration, and today is the time. In the essay we are talking about the depression in the youth, the loneliness in the youth. Fine. आज हम अगर यूथ के बारे में हमें बात करनी है और हमें यूथ के बारे में उनके इमेजिनेटिव, विजनरी, एस्पिरेशनल, मोटिवेशनल ना हो करके अगर हम बात कर रहे हैं मेंटल प्रॉब्लम की, मेंटल हेल्थ की, डिप्रेशन की और लोनलीनेस की, तो ये पैराडॉक्स ही है। अगर यूथ ही डिप्रेस्ड है तो बाकियों का क्या? वेयर इज द होप? It means we come to a very, very serious question. What is the reason behind the depression and the loneliness and the different mental health surveys? You see what youth is doing in countries like US. In the past few years, what we have seen, the events like shooting in the colleges has increased. What we have seen, it is a very high state of depression, that youth in the state of depression, youth in the state of loneliness, they get attracted to the ideologies like totalitarianism, radicalism. You can talk about it, that why it is a serious concern, because it is completely upside down. Someone on whom you look for motivation, that stream, that section of the society is not in motivation, that section of the society is in the state of depression. So what went wrong? Where is the problem? And then you can talk about the biggest problem of loneliness, which can be called as alienation, comes with the growth of mass media, and how mass media has over a period of time have impacted the modern, or have impacted the human civilization, and somewhere supposed to be the fourth pillar of democracy, the monopolization of the mass media by the bourgeois class, writes the famous the famous social political philosopher Habermas, has given rise to the legitimation crisis. And because of this, what has happened, the most fertile of the minds, they have turned into the masses. The fall from a thoughtful person, we have entered into a scenario where people have turned into the masses. And then there has been a huge dissatisfaction with the mainstream mass media. So, the next big thing that was talked about was a revolution in terms of social media. Social media at the initial level has been a fresh, has been a wind of or air of freshness, because it opened up the spaces to discuss and share the opinions. The social media sites like Facebook, LinkedIn, and others was a means to reconnect with our old links. But again, what we see that today social media has been once again being monopolized by the capitalist class. And today, the use of artificial intelligence has made social media another sphere of a capitalist society. It is another sphere, the social media, which could have acted as a platform for democracy, has become a marketplace. And with the technological developments that we see, with the type of technology, if youth is, again, youth is youth because youth is not mature. Their mind can easily be impacted. Fine. And if you have the sophisticated smartphones and gadgets with so many features, it is very easy for the youth to get distracted. And what we see, that there is a isolation when we spend the big part of our life in front of social media, means we are living in a virtual world. What can be the consequences of all this? The consequences of all these is we end up becoming a mass. We lose the capacity of social intelligence. How will we get a capacity of social intelligence when we do not interact with the society? We leave the capacity of emotional intelligence. And obviously, a youth who is all the time in front of social media, which is no more a place for a democratic debate and thinking, rather a marketplace where everyone has become a data, it is going to create a psychological crisis, it is going to create a social crisis, it is going to create a moral crisis, and it is going to have the negative environment, and we cannot imagine what can be the impact. And as I said, that there have been people who turn towards the dangerous ideologies like the ideologies of ISIS. This can be the impact. Fine. So what is the solution? The solution, the biggest reason, in every psychological study show, the biggest reason behind the increasing depression, what we have seen, the problem of suicides is increasing. So where is the solution? Is the solution lies in the psychological counseling, or the solution lies that we take the people out of the world of social media, take the people out of the virtual world, and revive the public sphere, revive the places where people come and interact, they understand the real problems of the life. and they do not behave like a robots. Rather, they develop in emotional intelligence, they develop social intelligence, and they are able to lead their life to the fullest. Fine. And as I said, because so much information is coming every day, but we have to see, do we really require that information? Are whatever is coming, and we want should we be consuming everything that is coming, or we should be selective enough to know? Because I can remind you Einstein's statement that has always inspired me. So what Einstein has said, that technology is a good thing, but technology is a bad thing also if we do not know the proper use of technology. Fine. So what he said, that once a day will come when technology will create a generation of idiots. By the generation of idiots, it means the people who are the masses, who don't have the social and the emotional intelligence. And in the extremely competitive world in which we live, fine, the fear of missing out is so normal, it is so natural, because we are so much concerned about our performance. We want to perform, we want to prove something, and ultimately, in order to prove something, we have to prove ourselves better than others. Then we have to be having more information than other, and we are living in a world where more is less. That is a paradox. The more you have, the more you will feel is less. And when, see, there is a capacity of human mind to handle this pressure. The life is where more is less. Obviously, the natural outcome is going to be what? The depression. And then when there is no public sphere, this is going to be resulting into loneliness. And when you are depressed and when you are alone, what will be the net result? The problems like suicides. We can give the case of the Bollywood actor Sushant Singh. There are numerous cases of suicides. This is something, this requires us to have a serious thinking. We have to educate our youth, and the responsibility lies on the elders, the responsibility lies on the education system, responsibility lies on the government. We have to de-stress the youth. We have to give them the right training, the right teaching. They don't have to prove anything to anyone. They should know that whatever they do for their own happiness. And it is our responsibility that we give the youth the right set of values, and we have to let them flourish. The inner beauty of the youth has to come out, and I believe that no nation can afford to see the youth in the state of depression and loneliness. And it's a high time that social media, which has become a marketplace, needs to be converted again into a place where a healthy interactions are possible, where the media, social media, which started as a tool to link, a tool to reconnect, to build a community, should not be resulting into the state of isolation.